Hi, everybody. I want to welcome you to this AIRS webinar mini about the 11 habits you should break this year in 2020 just to be more productive. So just a quick reminder, you can hear me, but I can't hear you. We won't have time to answer questions here, but if you leave me questions, I'll answer them after the event is over. So it's a new year and a new decade. I know that a lot of people are setting goals for themselves about new habits that they want to bring in and habits that they want to break. I love the idea of stopping to do something. I feel like that's a little bit less pressure. And so I thought it would be fun for us to look at things that we should stop doing this year in order to be more productive. So let's hit those 11. So number one is, let's start at the beginning of your day. Stop hitting the snooze button. So, according to Rena Mera, who is right there and smiling at us, director of sleep disorders research at Cleveland Clinic, all of that snoozing isn't actually helping our bodies get the restorative sleep that we need. She said that there's different thresholds during different stages of sleep, and if we're disrupting that late stage REM sleep, it can cause a fight or flight response in our bodies, which increases blood pressure and heartbeat. Plus, she said the short period of sleep that we get in between hitting the snooze button, so like 5-10 minutes at a time, isn't really restorative. It's just kind of prolonging that restless sleep. She says the best way to condition ourselves from hitting the snooze button every morning is to make sleep a priority. A lot of people, she says, that mistakenly think that they can sleep, given that 7 hours of operate on less than 7 hours of sleep per night. But research has shown that over time, this insufficient sleep can contribute to lots of problems like weight gain, cardiovascular risks, and even death ultimately. She mentions that we have so much going on in this day and age with technology and phones and TVs in the bedroom contributing to light at night, combined with work and family obligations, that the time we spend sleeping often gets shortchanged. She goes on to say that prioritizing that 7 to 8 hours of sleep for our overall well-being and health is very important so we can optimize our functioning during the day and have healthy relationships with our loved ones. So, review number one, stop hitting the snooze button. Let's do number two. Stop putting off your most important work until later in the day. I'm sure many of you have heard this quote from Mark Twain that says, "Eat a live frog every morning and nothing worse will happen to you the rest of the day." It's probably true. I can't imagine eating a live frog and thinking the rest of my day is going to go worse than that. So in this case, the frog is the thing that you're really dreading the most, the thing that you find the hardest or the most daunting. If you do it first, it will actually give you the momentum for the rest of the day that you need. It'll give you kind of that energy, make you feel like you've already accomplished something that won't be there kind of looming. But if you put it off, it will drain your energy and make it hard to focus. William James, who is one of the founders of modern psychology, said procrastination is attitude's natural assassin. There's nothing so fatiguing as an uncompleted task. So number two, make sure to eat your frog first thing. Number three, stop checking email constantly. So did you know that every time you check email that you could end up wasting up to 25 minutes of time? I bet if you thought about it, you'd be like me and realize that you really have done that. But there are reasons that we check that email constantly. And here in this little table are some of the reasons we do it and potential solutions. So if you look at the top, it says your to-do list is in your email. Well, move it out of your email, create an actual task list elsewhere. I just mentioned what I use. I use a kind of an application you use online and on your phone called Asana. And I actually like writing out task lists. I have several sitting around me right now. But you can find what works for you. So another reason, if you look down a little bit more, is you keep your documents in your email. Well, move them out. Find another place to keep them. Move them into your Google Drive, your Dropbox, your computer drive, or again, Asana is a place that you can do that. The third one, you'll worry you'll miss something urgent or important. Well, we grant urgency and importance to things that come through our email. So change your expectations and start teaching people that you need 24 hours to respond, and it's okay. Like, we used to all function in a way where we weren't that connected, and we didn't respond right away. If somebody really needs you, they can call you. Another one is you're bored. So do something else besides check your email. If you're bored, just find another way to distract yourself. Otherwise, you get caught up in it. Another one is you like that zero inbox. That's That's been the case for me, and I'm sure many of you can understand that. Turn off your notifications. Stop getting those notifications that pop up on your computer or on your phone whenever you get a new email. And the last one is your email is always open on your computer. We'll close it. Set aside specific times when you dig into your email, open it then, and then close it. So number 3 is to stop checking email constantly. Number 4, stop multitasking. So you see that we have a woman here, and it looks like she's squeezing a sponge full of water into a bucket. Well, that's exactly what she's doing. It's actually a game, and we played this game once at a staff retreat years ago, somewhere else that I worked. And something that we did is we had this little race that you took the sponge, you filled it up from this bucket that was full, like a 5-gallon bucket of water, and you had to carry it down to this other bucket and squeeze what was left in. Well, everyone was really surprised that although they thought they'd gotten as much water as they possibly could, by the time they got down, there was so little left because it had just dripped out of that sponge. And sponges are meant to hold water and hold liquid. I think that that's kind of what happens to us when we multitask. As we're moving from one task to another, and there's been studies that have shown this, you lose energy, you lose concentration, you lose information. And so every time that you're transferring that information back and forth, it drips out. And by the time you get to the other space, what you thought you had is gone. So stop multitasking, focus on one thing at a time, and then move to the next thing. You'll be able to keep more water in your sponge and you'll feel a wee bit less frantic. Next one, number 5, stop taking, or in some of the cases for many of us, creating so many meetings. We're going to look at some infographics that kind of talked about this. So, I mean, meetings take up money and time, but most meetings are unproductive. In fact, 67% of executives consider most of their meetings a failure. So what's the harm in that? Well, $37 billion per year is spent in unproductive meetings, and it wastes about 15% of an organization's collective time, not to mention the time that people spend 4 hours a week, which is like 10% of your time preparing for status update meetings. So really considering, is this where our time should be? And if you are having a meeting, what's causing the unproductivity? Well, 92% is multitasking, and 41% admit to multitasking often or all the time. Most of us are checking emails, 69%, and 49% admitted to doing other unrelated work while sitting there in a meeting. And sometimes it's hard, if it has nothing to do with you, to not feel like you need to do something else and get something else done. Remote participants also aren't very engaged. About 80% of messages received come from body language, and so it's hard for them to feel like they're really tapping into the conversation and being part of the team. Number 3 is lack of planning and structure. So some tips would be schedule shorter meetings, set clear expectations, send materials in advance, start and end on time, avoid monologues, so not just one person talking, stay focused, and capture key points and action items. This could actually be its whole own webinar, so we're not going to linger on this very much as far as planning and structure of meetings. But then ask yourself these 3 questions before you schedule your next meeting. 1, is it necessary? 2, decide who really needs to be there, who's relevant. And number 3, make sure that you have an agenda and materials ready for everybody. So, number 5, stop taking or creating so many meetings. Number 6, stop saying yes all the time. And I think this one's kind of hard for us, at least it is for me. So here you can see Vanessa M. Patrick, who is an associate professor of marketing at the C.T. Bauer College of Business at the University of Houston. And she says, the ability to communicate no really reflects that you are in the driver's seat of your own life. It gives you a sense of empowerment. Well, it's a little more complicated. Humans are social animals who thrive on reciprocity. It's in our nature to be socially obliging, and the word no feels like a confrontation that could threaten a potential bond. But when we dole out an easy yes instead of the difficult no, we also tend to overcommit time, energy, and even finances. This is Dara Blaine. She's a career counselor and coach in Los Angeles. And her quote is, we live in a yes culture where it's expected that the person who's going to get ahead is the go-getter who says yes to everything that comes their way. It's when people learn to say no that I've really seen their careers take off. She also recommends that to combat this problem, it helps to understand your own long-term goals first. This way you can say yes to opportunities that most reflect your values. Second, try to build free time into your schedule so there is room for you to say yes when something new or interesting comes and you'd like that opportunity. Still, some commitments and obligations are difficult to reject, so you can't exactly tell your boss, sorry, I don't work past 5 p.m. But there are ways that you can ease into that refusal. So if your boss wants to pile on extra work, for example, you might suggest you're not the best choice for that task because your plate is already full and you don't want to sacrifice quality. So reminder number 6, stop saying yes all of the time. Number 7, stop over planning. So this is Christine Wilner, and she says our mental energy is a far more limiting factor than time. We only have about 3 to 6 good hours of work in us each day. But I think a lot of us try to write down very long lists of things that we want to get done, thinking that that's the thing that's going to lead us to success is this long list. So here's some suggestions. Don't make the long lists. Be realistic about what you can do during the day by we often underestimate the time a task takes. We underestimate the number of things we can get done in a day. So be realistic about that. Add a little bit of that dose of realism. Number 8, stop sitting all day. This one's pretty quick, and there's actually some things that we can do that will help us get through the day without sitting all the time. Stand up while you're on the phone. Better yet, pace. Walk around your house more. Take the stairs. Hold a walking meeting. Walk after you eat lunch. Park your car further away from your destination. Don't look for that perfect spot up close. Take the long route. Dance when you can. Get vigorous about your daily cleaning and cooking. Work your calves when you brush your teeth. Stand up and stretch when you're at your computer a lot. Don't send emails if the recipient is in walking distance. Get up, walk, and talk. Stand up or do exercises while watching TV. Consider a standing workstation. Go ahead and fidget and refill your water glass every hour. Stand up, take your glass, and go get some more water. So number 8, stop sitting all day. Just find reasons to move. Number 9, stop impulsive web browsing. Well, we all do it. Like, for example, right now, many of you probably opened up a tab to look at more information about some of those women that I've already mentioned, or William James, and it happens. I do it all the time. Something sparks my mind. I don't know much about it. I immediately grab my phone and I look it up. What's the name of the guy on the show? How long do you cook a turkey? Is my cough really the beginning of pneumonia? So many questions, and all the answers are there on the internet. Sometimes it's also you're just feeling bored or tired and overwhelmed, and you don't know what to do next. And so you start checking Facebook or Instagram, and voila, pretty soon you're an hour into carpool karaoke with James Corden. It's like that time disappears. It's magic. Well, something I was reading talked about how our brains are kind of like little toddlers, that cute little girl down there who's definitely having a tantrum, where they just want attention. And one of the things to do is that when you feel that impulse is to one, remind yourself that this is an urge or a compulsion. It's your brain demanding attention and the end reward, just like a toddler throwing a fit. They want what they want. And if you give into it, sometimes that reinforces that they get what they want. And so it's just reminding yourself that it is only an urge, it's only a compulsion, it's only an impulse, and that you'll take care of it later. So maybe the answer to yourself is not now, but later, which is number 2. Jot down your questions and thoughts and pick up on them later, quite possibly at a time you have set aside to specifically look up things on the internet. I do that now, trying to get my toddler brain under control. But number 9 is to stop impulsive web browsing. Number 10, stop using your phone in bed. Why? Well, it keeps your mind psychologically engaged. The blue light from the screen suppresses the melatonin that's necessary for you to fall asleep and get some good sleep. And the third one is that the alerting properties can delay your REM sleep, back to keeping your mind psychologically engaged. So some ideas and suggestions about how to stop using your phone in bed are cutting off screen time 1 hour before bed. You can read a book. You can write in your journal. There's lots of other options of things that you can do, although sometimes I think we forget. Number 2, establish a relaxing bedtime routine. And it can be even something as simple as washing your face or brushing your teeth and just taking your time. It's interesting sometimes when you take your time, but establish that bedtime routine. Number 3 is to try putting your phone in a different room and investing in a clock radio for your bedside table. You could also go ahead and just put it on the other side of the room. I've heard people who actually have asked their kids to everybody parks their phones in a specific place, the kids, the parents, at a certain time each night to help kind of disengage from that. So number 10, stop using your phone in bed. Number 11 and last, stop trying to do it all at once. So this is Desmond Tutu, and he's the one that said there's only one way to eat an elephant, a bite at a time. And basically what he's talking about is that everything in life that can seem daunting, overwhelming, and even impossible can be accomplished gradually by taking on just a little at a time. If you've ever wanted to accomplish something major, you know that getting started can be a bit of a challenge, but maybe it's because you have only a vague idea about what you want but no clue how to get it, or perhaps you sit down to think about everything you have to do and get completely intimidated, and so you freeze and you feel incapable of taking the first step. Well, take the first manageable bite. This is not a real picture of one of my kids' rooms, but it was a picture I could relate to. Sometimes my daughter right now, she's 15, she does have a room that's pretty messy, actually a little bit messier than this. And we've been asking her to clean it, but it just seems so overwhelming that she doesn't know where to start. And so one of the things that we can talk about is breaking that into little pieces, either in pieces of time, like, well, spend 5 minutes and see how much you can done, or, pick up the clothes, or pick up the trash, or pick up the dishes, which would be nice, but just one bite at a time, just like that little elephant down there. Cut it into pieces, take it one step at a time, and stop trying to do it all at once. That almost always leads to failure. So, in a nutshell, let's review. Number 1, stop hitting the snooze button. 2, stop putting off your most important work until later in the day. Number 3, stop checking email constantly. Number 4, stop multitasking. Number 5, stop taking or creating so many meetings. Number 6, stop saying yes all the time. Number 7, stop over planning. Number 8, stop sitting all day. Number 9, stop impulsive web browsing. 10, stop using your phone in bed. And number 11, stop trying to do it all at once. You guys can give up these habits and have a great year. But in the meantime, just have a great day. We'll talk to you later. Bye.